On a map of Europe, Lithuania can look easy to overlook, a medium-sized country on the eastern shore of the Baltic Sea, tucked between Latvia, Belarus, Poland, and Russia's Kaliningrad region. But Lithuania's story is much larger than its modern borders suggest. Today it covers about 65,300 square kilometers and has a population of around 2.9 million people, yet at one point its predecessor state stretched deep into Eastern Europe and became the largest country on the continent. Lithuania is both a modern European republic and one of the key historical gateways between the Baltic, Slavic, Central European, and Nordic worlds. To understand Lithuania, you have to see it not as a small edge of Europe, but as a place where empires, languages, religions, and identities met for centuries. Geographically, Lithuania sits in the Baltic region of northeastern Europe. It shares land borders with Latvia to the north, Belarus to the east and south, Poland to the south, and Russia's Kaliningrad Oblast to the southwest. To the west lies the Baltic Sea, across which Lithuania has a maritime border with Sweden. This position has always mattered. Lithuania is close enough to Central Europe to be shaped by Poland and Germany, close enough to Eastern Europe to be tied to Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia, and close enough to the Baltic Sea to connect with trade routes leading towards Scandinavia. Its largest city and capital is Vilnius, a historic city known for its old town, churches, universities, and layered cultural heritage. Other important cities include Kaunas, Klaipėda, Šiauliai, and Panevėžys, each contributing to the country's economy, culture, and regional identity. Lithuania is one of the three Baltic states, along with Latvia and Estonia, but its identity is not identical to its northern neighbors. Lithuanians belong to the Baltic ethno-linguistic group, and the Lithuanian language is one of the most distinctive features of the nation. Lithuanian is a Baltic language, closely related to Latvian but separate from Slavic languages like Russian, Polish, or Belarusian. It is often noted by linguists for preserving very old Indo-European features, which gives it a special place in studies of language history. This language became more than a tool of communication, it became a marker of survival. Through foreign rule, occupation, and pressure from larger neighbors, Lithuanian language and culture helped maintain a sense of national continuity. Long before modern states existed, the southeastern shores of the Baltic Sea were inhabited by various Baltic tribes. These communities lived in forests, wetlands, and river valleys, practicing agriculture, trade, and local forms of political organization. For centuries, they remained outside many of the major political structures that shaped medieval Europe. That began to change in the 13th century. In the 1230s, Lithuanian lands were united for the first time under Mindaugas, a ruler who consolidated power among competing groups. In 1253, Mindaugas was crowned king, creating the Kingdom of Lithuania. This date, July 6, is still important in Lithuanian historical memory because it symbolizes the beginning of Lithuanian statehood. After Mindaugas, Lithuania did not remain a small Baltic kingdom. Through expansion, alliances, warfare, and political consolidation, it developed into the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. By the 14th century, this state had become the largest country in Europe. Its territory extended far beyond today's Lithuania, reaching into lands that are now Belarus, Ukraine, and parts of neighboring regions. This was not an empire built only around one ethnicity or one language. It was a multi-ethnic, multilingual, and multi-religious state. Lithuanian rulers governed over Baltic and Slavic populations, and administrative life often involved Ruthenian language and Orthodox Christian communities, even as Lithuania itself had deep pagan traditions before Christianization. The Grand Duchy became a bridge between Latin Europe and Eastern Orthodox Europe. One of the most important turning points came in 1386, when the Grand Duchy of Lithuania entered a personal union with the Crown of the Kingdom of Poland. This happened through the marriage and political alliance of Lithuania's ruling elite with Poland's monarchy. Over time, the relationship deepened, and in 1569 the two realms were formally united into the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. This Commonwealth became one of the largest and most influential states in Europe. It was known for its powerful nobility, elected monarchy, and unusual political system that gave significant privileges to the aristocracy. For Lithuania, the union brought both opportunity and tension. It linked Lithuania to a major European power structure, but it also intensified Polish cultural influence among elites. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth lasted for more than 2 centuries, but by the 18th century it was weakened by internal political problems and pressure from neighboring powers. Russia, Prussia, and Austria gradually dismantled it through a series of partitions between 1772 and 1795. Most of Lithuania's territory was annexed by the Russian Empire. This began a long period in which Lithuania no longer existed as an independent state. Under Russian rule, Lithuanian national life faced restrictions, including efforts to limit local identity and political autonomy. Yet the 19th century also became a period of national awakening. Intellectuals, writers, clergy, and activists worked to preserve the Lithuanian language, promote education, and revive the idea of Lithuania as a nation rather than merely a province of an empire. The chance to restore independence came near the end of World War I. As old empires weakened and collapsed, Lithuania declared independence in 1918, founding the modern Republic of Lithuania. This was a major achievement, but independence did not mean immediate stability. The new state had to build institutions, define borders, and defend itself in a region filled with competing armies and rival claims. Vilnius, the historic capital, became a major source of dispute, and Kaunas served as a temporary capital for much of the interwar period. Still, the interwar republic created schools, government structures, cultural organizations, and a modern national identity. For the first time in more than a century, Lithuania governed itself as a sovereign state. Lithuania's independence was violently interrupted during World War II. The country was first occupied by the Soviet Union, then by Nazi Germany, and then reoccupied by the Soviet Union in 1944. These occupations brought enormous trauma, political repression, deportations, destruction, and the Holocaust, which devastated Lithuania's Jewish communities that had been central to the country's urban and cultural life. After the Soviets returned, Lithuania was incorporated into the USSR. But resistance did not end immediately. Lithuanian armed partisans continued fighting Soviet occupation into the early 1950s, hiding in forests and organizing underground networks. Their struggle became a powerful symbol of national resistance, even though it was eventually suppressed by Soviet forces. For decades, Lithuania remained a Soviet republic, but national identity survived through language, memory, family networks, religion, and culture. By the late 1980s, reforms inside the Soviet Union opened space for public activism. Lithuania's independence movement grew rapidly, connected to the broader Baltic awakening. On March 11, 1990, Lithuania proclaimed the restoration of its independence, becoming the first Soviet republic to break away before the formal dissolution of the USSR. This was a bold and risky act. Moscow did not immediately accept it, and Lithuania faced pressure and violence. But the declaration became a landmark moment in the collapse of Soviet power and the rebirth of independent states across Eastern Europe. Since restoring independence, Lithuania has transformed itself into a developed, high-income country with an advanced economy and a very high ranking on the Human Development Index. It joined the European Union and NATO, placing itself firmly within the political, economic, and security structures of the West. Lithuania is also part of the Eurozone and the Schengen area, which connects it more closely with European markets and travel networks. Membership in organizations such as the United Nations, the Council of Europe, the OECD, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Trade Organization reflects its role as a fully integrated modern state. For a country that spent much of the 20th century under occupation, this integration represents a dramatic geopolitical shift. Modern Lithuania is often recognized for more than its history. It ranks highly in digital infrastructure, press freedom, and happiness, and it participates in regional cooperation through the Nordic-Baltic 8 format alongside Nordic and Baltic partners. Its port city Klaipėda connects it to Baltic Sea trade, while Vilnius has become known for technology, education, and culture. Yet Lithuania's modern identity remains deeply shaped by its past, the memory of medieval power, the experience of union with Poland, the trauma of partitions and occupations, and the achievement of restored independence. Lithuania's story is the story of a country that has repeatedly adapted to pressure from larger forces while preserving a distinct language, identity, and political will. Small on today's map, Lithuania carries one of Europe's most remarkable historical arcs. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.